The man who plans to colonize Mars once confessed something deeply, almost painfully human. In a rare moment of stark vulnerability, Elon Musk said, "If I'm not in love, if I'm not with a long-term companion, I cannot be happy." Let that sink in for a second. Now, this isn't just one billionaire's private heartache. This is a pattern. I see it in charts, a code quietly written into the lives of the world's visionaries, rebels, and outsiders. Their isolation doesn't happen by accident. It feels like a mystery scripted in the stars. Why are the people who can see the future so often the ones destined to walk toward it alone? Today, we're going to start decoding that enigma together. We'll break down the 14 hidden cosmic reasons behind this profound loneliness, and we'll count them all the way down to the number one reason, the ultimate cosmic test every Aquarius is born to face. But to get there, we have to start at the edge of their universe. To begin, we first have to confront their outermost defense, the fortress of self-sufficiency they build, brick by brilliant brick, with their own minds. So, what are the bricks and mortar of this fortress? How does a soul so brilliant still manage to build such isolating walls? It begins with the 14th, and maybe the most misunderstood, reason Aquarius feels so alone. Reason 14, they are the lonely innovator. There's this cosmic truth that Aquarius belongs to the future, and that isn't just poetry. It's a literal description of their operating system. Their mind is a decade ahead of everyone else in the room. If you're an Aquarius, you probably know exactly what that feels like. While people are busy debating the problems of today, Aquarius is already architecting solutions for the problems of tomorrow. Picture this, an Aquarius standing in front of a whiteboard, covered in diagrams that look like a language from another planet. A well-meaning colleague walks by and says, "Wow, that looks intense. Need an extra pair of eyes on that." The Aquarius turns, offers a genuine but slightly distant smile, and says, "I appreciate it truly, but I'm in the zone right now. It's hard to explain until it's finished." The colleague walks away, not offended, but feeling like they just glimpsed something they couldn't possibly comprehend. This happens over and over. Soon people stop offering, not out of malice, but out of respect. They've learned that Aquarius doesn't just want to work alone, they have to. Their vision is so singular that collaboration feels like trying to explain color to someone who has only ever seen in black and white. So they retreat into their own world, not because they dislike people, but because it's the only place their ideas can breathe. They teach the world they are self-sufficient, and the world eventually believes them. This intellectual self-reliance leads directly to the 13th reason. They are the emotional analyst. They are, as the ancient wisdom says, emotional oceans trapped inside glass. On the outside, perfectly still, clear, composed. But beneath that surface, a storm of currents, pressure, and unimaginable depth. When a wave of sadness, anger, or even joy hits them, their first instinct is not to feel it. It is to analyze it. Their inner voice isn't screaming or crying. It's a calm, detached strategist saying, "Okay, a strong emotional response has been triggered. What is the data point that caused this? What is the most logical course of action to return to equilibrium? Expressing this raw data is inefficient. It will complicate the system. I must process, categorize, and solve." They see emotions as problems to be solved, not experiences to be shared. And let's be real, that works brilliantly in a crisis, but it comes at a cost. So when you see an Aquarius looking calm in a crisis, don't mistake it for coldness. You're watching the most intense form of self-control. People see the glass, not the ocean. And you don't offer a life raft to a perfectly still pond. And that brings us to the 12th reason, the very foundation of this fortress. The rebel's pride. For an Aquarius, autonomy is not a preference. It is oxygen. Their soul remembers lifetimes of being restricted. It remembers cages, chains, and being told no. That's why they fight so fiercely to stay independent in this life. So when you offer them help, their subconscious doesn't hear, "I care about you." It hears a faint echo of, "I want to control you." Honestly, asking for help feels like handing over the keys to their kingdom. It's a surrender of the one thing they value above all else, their freedom. They will struggle in silence, carry impossible burdens, and quietly solve their own crises, all while politely declining every single offer of assistance. It's not arrogance. It's a declaration of sovereignty. They would rather fail on their own terms than succeed on someone else's. They've built a fortress, not to keep people out, but to keep their freedom in. So there you have it. The outer walls. A fortress built from the bricks of future thinking innovation, the bulletproof glass of emotional analysis, and the unbreachable foundation of a rebel's pride. But this is just the defense system. What it's protecting is the real secret. Because now, we must go deeper. Behind those magnificent walls lies the true, painful mystery. A secret fear that takes their profound, very human desire for connection and twist it into a self-fulfilling prophecy of loneliness. We left off standing before the magnificent fortress of the Aquarius, a structure built from genius and pride. But I promised you, the truth lies inside. Behind those walls is the painful mystery, a secret fear that takes their deep human desire for connection and twists it into that self-fulfilling prophecy of loneliness. This brings us to hidden reason number 11, the veil of mystery. Aquarius doesn't just have secrets. They are masters at crafting an entire reality that keeps their inner world private. They speak in ideas, in futures, in abstract concepts. They'll discuss the fate of humanity, but not what hurt them this morning. Honestly, that creates a fascinating, almost magnetic aura. People are drawn to it, intrigued by the depth they can sense. But that fascination almost always comes with a sense of distance. They feel unapproachable, like a brilliant, complex book written in a language no one else can read. You admire the cover. You feel the weight of its wisdom, but you don't know how to even begin to open it. So they're mysterious, unreadable, and let's be real, it's easy to label them as aloof or arrogant and just walk away. But stop. What if that's not a wall they built to keep you out? What if it's a shield, and what they're hiding behind it is a wound so deep it has defined their entire existence? This is the real turning point. The 10th hidden reason no one helps an Aquarius. The preemptive shield. A profound fear of rejection. This isn't just a simple fear. It's a trauma written into their soul from a lifetime of being misunderstood. From being the kid whose ideas were called weird to the adult whose vision is called unrealistic. Every time they opened their heart or their mind and were met with a blank stare or ridicule, a tiny piece of stone was laid. One moment, one comment, one more brick. Now that wall feels like a mountain. So they developed a devastatingly effective defense mechanism. They reject you before you can reject them. Just when a connection starts to feel real, when the vulnerability feels too high, they will pull away. They become distant, analytical, or they create a reason, any reason to push you out. It is a tragic self-fulfilling prophecy. They crave connection with every fiber of their being. But the ghost of past pain is so terrifying that they choose the familiar ache of loneliness over the potential devastation of being turned away again. They build their own prison and hand you the key just to prove they were right when you eventually leave. And this creates an impossible situation for those who love them. Which leads us to reason number 9, the unpredictable spirit. Their soul is like the wind, restless, untamed, and impossible to predict. One day, they are intensely engaged, sharing their brilliant mind, their rare, beautiful vulnerability. They let you in. You feel the connection, that electric spark. You think, finally, I understand them. So the next day, you approach them with that same warmth, ready to continue that beautiful conversation. But the person you meet is a stranger. The warmth is gone, replaced by cool, detached logic. The open door is now sealed shut. Your questions are met with short, polite answers. It feels like a betrayal. You stand there, confused, hurt, and you start to second-guess everything. Did I imagine it? Did I do something wrong? You pull back, not out of anger, but out of sheer confusion. You learn over time that getting close to them is like trying to hold the wind. It's exhilarating when it chooses to embrace you, and baffling when it slips through your fingers, and eventually, you hesitate to even try. Their fear explains why they push people away. Their unpredictability explains why people stay away. But what happens when they're not just being distant, but are genuinely broken? When the shield isn't just up, but shattered. We are about to uncover the most tragic paradox of all. How the universe's greatest healer becomes the one person they will never, ever save. We're about to uncover the most tragic paradox of all. How the universe's greatest healer becomes the one person they will never, ever save. This brings us to our 8th hidden reason, their brutal honesty. See, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, the planet of truth and structure. They don't just prefer the truth, they're architecturally built from it. When they see a flaw in the plan, a crack in the logic, or a lie in someone's heart, they feel a cosmic obligation to point it out. Their straightforward nature, almost always well-intentioned, can feel like a cold blade to those who prefer the comfort of gentle illusions. Honestly, people admire their integrity from a distance, but up close, that unwavering truth can feel like judgment. So people learn to keep their distance, leaving the Aquarian alone with a truth no one else wanted to hear. This creates the perfect storm for the 7th, and perhaps most heartbreaking reason of all. They are the healer who will not heal. Picture this. It's 3 a.m., and a friend's world is falling apart. You know that moment. Who do they call? The Aquarius. The one who will listen for hours without judgment. Who will dissect the problem with terrifying clarity. And who will offer a brilliant, unconventional path forward. They're the emotional surgeons, the spiritual mechanics, the ones who will rush into the burning building of someone else's crisis while everyone else is running out. They will fix you. They will fix everyone. But when their own world is on fire, there's only silence. They sit in the wreckage alone. They hold their own shattered pieces together with sheer force of will, smiling politely and waving away any offers of help. Why? Because over the years, they've meticulously taught the entire world that they are invincible. Their role, as they see it, is to give support, not to need it. Let's be real, to ask for help feels like a failure of their entire cosmic purpose. So they stay silent, the battlefield medic who diagnoses everyone else's wounds while they slowly, quietly bleed out. Let that sink in for a moment. They are the 5-star general of emotional support who refuses a bandage for their own artery. Before we continue, I want you to think of an Aquarius you know. Or if it's you, be truly honest with yourself. Does this ache feel familiar? Because if you don't grasp this one tragic flaw, this sacred wound, you will misread every other signal they ever send you. And it gets even more complex. The 6th reason people don't help Aquarius is because of their electric aura. Their energy field isn't calm or gentle. It literally vibrates with electricity, alive with new ideas, quick insights, and emotional frequencies that few people can comfortably match. Being around an inspired Aquarius can feel like standing next to a Tesla coil. It's exhilarating, but it's also overwhelming. People are drawn to the light, but the sheer voltage makes them unconsciously take a step back. They don't mean to. Their nervous system just whispers that this frequency is too intense to handle for long periods. The isolation isn't personal, it's energetic. All of this culminates in the 5th reason, the outsider complex. After a lifetime of being ahead of the curve, misunderstood for their honesty, and keeping people at bay with their energy, a deep belief quietly sets in. They start to feel like an anthropologist, studying humanity, but never truly a part of it. They become the eternal observer. No, more like the eternal witness, watching life from behind a one-way mirror. This profound sense of alienation makes them fundamentally distrust the sincerity of others. When someone does offer help or love, a voice inside whispers, they don't really get it. They can't handle the real me. So they build the walls higher, not to keep others out, but because they genuinely believe they are protecting a world that was never truly built for them. Their loneliness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We've seen the wounds, the brutal honesty that isolates them, the healer who refuses to be healed, the energy that overwhelms, and the deep-seated belief that they will forever be on the outside looking in. It's a tragic, repeating cycle. But what if I told you that all this pain isn't a mistake, that it's not a bug in their design, but a crucial feature? What if this profound loneliness is the price they pay for a much, much higher calling? We're now leaving the realm of personality traits and entering the physics of destiny itself. And what we find there will change everything you thought you knew about the lonely Aquarian. This higher calling isn't some vague, floaty spiritual idea. It's a tangible weight, a pressure you carry in your chest, a burden of perception. And this is what brings us to the 4th reason no one helps Aquarius. It's the Visionaries' burden. Imagine you have a sense that other people don't. It's not sight. It's not sound. It's the ability to feel the tectonic plates of the future shifting under your feet. You feel the collective pain of the world not as a headline on a screen, but as a low-frequency hum inside your own soul. This is the Aquarian reality. They walk through life picking up undercurrents and future trends that everyone else is blind to. When people are celebrating a temporary win, Aquarius already sees the flaw in the system that will make it collapse in 5 years. When friends are laughing at a joke, some quiet part of the Aquarian mind is still processing a distant tragedy they sensed on the wind that morning. This makes it incredibly hard for them to be fully present in ordinary, everyday joys. Their consciousness is simply tuned to a different bandwidth. It makes them seem distracted, out of place, even cold. How do you relax into a simple party when you're, a walking archive of what is to come? People see this distance, this absence, and they have no idea what to do with it. They misread this heavy awareness as disinterest, and so they quietly back away, leaving the lonely visionary to stand watch by themselves. And this leads us straight to reason number 3, the silent judgment. An Aquarius can walk into a room and without saying a single word, make half the people in it feel strangely exposed and deeply insecure. This isn't because they're arrogant. It's because their default setting is intense, quiet observation. What you experience as judgment is actually high-speed analysis. They aren't thinking, "I'm better than you." They're running diagnostics on reality. Their mind is mapping the power dynamics in the room, tracking the unspoken truths, spotting the logical fallacies in a conversation before anyone else has even processed the premise. They are a living lie detector, and their silence is simply the sound of the machine processing data. People feel this. They can sense that their masks, their polite fictions, their carefully constructed personas are completely transparent to the Aquarian. That kind of X-ray insight feels like a judgment, like a silent verdict is being passed. It's intimidating. It makes people unwilling to get close, afraid of what this quiet observer might see in them. So they keep their distance, admiring the Aquarian's intelligence from afar, but never quite daring to step into the light of their perception. And now, we arrive at the final threshold before the ultimate truth, the second most powerful reason no one helps Aquarius, and the one that secretly holds the key to their entire purpose. Reason number 2, the worship of freedom. For an Aquarius, freedom isn't a preference. It is the primary nutrient of their soul. It is their oxygen. Every other sign might value freedom, but Aquarius treats it as the ultimate non-negotiable prize of existence. Their soul, maybe, remembers lifetimes of being restricted. So in this life they will fight to the death to remain independent. This is why they read almost every offer of help as a potential chain. A helping hand looks like a future obligation. A favor accepted feels like a debt that compromises their autonomy. Their fierce devotion to independence makes them appear utterly, brilliantly self-reliant. They've trained everyone around them to believe that they don't just not need help. They don't even want it. They will politely, even charmingly, refuse assistance while they are privately struggling, because the cost of that help, a tiny piece of their sovereignty, feels infinitely higher than the cost of the struggle itself. But here's the question that unlocks everything. Honestly, this is the one most people never think to ask. What if this relentless, almost fanatical drive for freedom wasn't just a personality quirk? What if it was a prerequisite for their true mission, the Visionaries' burden, the silent judgment, the worship of freedom, the outsider complex, the healer who won't heal? All of these reasons we've uncovered, yes, all 13 of them, are not the disease. They are symptoms. We've peeled back every layer. We've explored the fortress, the shields, and the hidden wounds. Now we arrive at the very core. The one single reason that generates all the others. The reason for their sacred loneliness. This is no longer a personality trait. This is their cosmic blueprint. It is the final answer. The one that changes everything. So here we are, standing at the very center of the labyrinth, at the final truth that explains all the others. This is reason number 1 why Aquarius feels so profoundly lonely. The reason no one ever seems to truly help an Aquarius is because they are not meant to. Not really. Honestly, their isolation is not a flaw. It's not a social failure, and it is certainly not a random accident. It is deliberate, sacred, and often brutal, an act of divine engineering. I want you to picture a master blacksmith forging a sword of legend. What does that process look like? It is not gentle. It is not kind. It demands searing, almost unbearable heat. That is the fire of being misunderstood, year after year. It requires the relentless, crushing force of a hammer. Those are the blows of rejection, the pain of knowing you see a future that no one else can even imagine. And most of all, it requires solitude. The blade is forged alone, away from the world, in the focused, echoing silence of the workshop. The universe is that blacksmith, and the Aquarian soul is that sword. Every moment of isolation, every time they felt like an outsider, every single time they chose to stand apart, it was all part of the forging. It was designed to burn away their dependence on external validation. It was engineered to hammer out the need for approval, to strip away everything they thought they needed so they could finally discover the one thing they truly possess, an unbreakable, diamond-hard connection to their own higher purpose. You see, Aquarius is not punished by solitude. They are prepared by it. Loneliness is not their curse. It is their initiation. This is why help always seems to fall short. It's why hands are offered, but they never quite connect. It's not because people are cruel, or because the Aquarius is too proud. Although that is part of the mechanism, the ultimate reason is far bigger. You might think this sounds harsh, even unfair. No one helps Aquarius, because destiny itself guards that path. The cosmos runs interference. It makes sure they face the trial alone. Only by walking through that fire by themselves can they be forged into the visionaries, the humanitarians, the system breakers they were born to be. Their sacred purpose demands a level of strength that cannot be borrowed or gifted. It has to be earned, in silence and in solitude. This is not a tragedy. This is a coronation. And now that you finally understand the divine why behind this profound isolation, the real question emerges. What now? How do you work out with this cosmic force instead of fighting against it? How do you embrace this sacred solitude and finally learn to wield the power you were forged to carry? That is the next step of your journey. So what then is the next step on your journey? It starts with an inner shift. Honestly, you stop hunting for a cure for loneliness because you see, it was never a disease. It was your training ground, shaping you. To every Aquarius soul listening to my voice right now, your path is not easy, but it is sacred, and it is yours. This solitude is your initiation, the doorway into who you really are. Your destiny is calling you to lean in and embrace it. And for those of you who love an Aquarius, when you catch that distance in their eyes, understand, you know what you're witnessing. You're seeing a soul being forged in a quiet fire, preparing for a purpose greater than anything you can imagine. If this message landed in the deepest parts of your being, subscribe to this channel for more cosmic truths, and like this video so this light can find others who are walking their own sacred path alone.